Hi, my name is Elizabeth, the Entrepreneurship and Engagement Coordinator here at Seed. And today we are joined by Karen. Would you like to give yourself an introduction?
Hi, I'm Karen Wonders. I'm the founder of Laluz Consulting, and I started the business at the beginning of 2025 with the philosophy that leadership is not a title, leadership is a skill that we can all learn throughout our career. And with that philosophy in mind, I decided to focus on helping my past self. I'm an engineer and helping engineers transition into leadership and helping them navigate that road.
Okay, so you mentioned it a little bit there, but do you want to expand more on what your business venture was and what inspired the idea and what you were hoping to address with your idea?
Like I mentioned before, it was that idea that we all have leadership skills within us. And what I had seen throughout my career was that sometimes we dim ourselves in order to let others shine. And what I saw was that when somebody dims themselves, they're actually making the collective darker. So, how can I help someone make that positive difference in helping them find that glow, that shine, so that they can shine themselves, not in a way that they're blinding, but in a way that they're casting that light to others in the collective. And as a collective, we can work better together. So that was the philosophy behind La Luz. La Luz actually means the light in Spanish. And what I do is I focus on working with individuals in the tech side who need to navigate that into leadership. And we do that through executive coaching, through leadership workshops, through different techniques that we can do to help you just transition into leadership.
Okay, very interesting. I like this venture you've created. So looking back, what initially drew you to the Leveling It Up program? And at that time, where were you in your entrepreneurial journey?
I was at the beginning of my journey. I started the company back in 2025. And one thing I realized was that I needed a new community. I needed a community of entrepreneurs. I needed to not only network to find clients, but I needed to network to find that sounding board, those people who were doing exactly what I was doing. So I joined the Canadian Women Chamber of Commerce. And through there, I met a person who we had a coffee chat afterwards, and she had just finished the Leveling Up program and said, "You will love it. You have to sign up for this." She sent me the link, and so I did, and I got accepted, and I'm so glad I did because when I review the courses, it was like these are areas that I need to improve on as an entrepreneur, moving from corporate into entrepreneurship.
And how would you describe your overall experience with Leveling It Up and what stood out to you the most during that program?
Honestly, if I could give you guys more than 5 stars, I would. The program has been magnificent. I was very impressed from the very beginning on the quality of the content and also the caliber of the instructors. The instructors are experts in their area, and it's not only about the expertise, but to me, it was the fact that they were invested in the cohort. Like every single instructor that I had was invested in making us better through what they were teaching us. And I was also quite impressed that it was funded through the government, that I was not spending any of my own revenue in order to invest in my own entrepreneurship growth. So at the beginning, it was like, I don't know how this will be. And then I was blown away by the amazing content and the caliber of the instructors. And the other thing that I really like was that every course that I took also had a one-on-one mentoring portion. So it wasn't only the courses that we were taking with the cohort, we also had the chance to work one-on-one with the instructor. And there I was able to ask more questions, or as I was applying, things were very practical. So as I was applying everything that I was learning, I was able to ask more questions in a deeper way.
Okay, sounds like yeah, it sounds like you got a lot out of the Leveling It Up courses, which I love to hear. So what are one or two key lessons or skills that you've gained that you believe will have a lasting impact on your business?
I would say that for me, like the overall takeaway was the science of consistency. I found that through the business development course that I took through the phone lady, that consistency showed up in knowing exactly how many daily touches I need to do in order to meet my revenue. And then through the marketing courses, whether it was for social media or for marketing of your website and marketing of your company, is having that consistent narrative on who do you help, how do you help them, and how do you help them transform. And then for the last course that I took, which was on presentation skills, that consistency of showing up as yourself, which sometimes we try to script things, we try to read things through. So it's that consistency of, you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table. So let's show up that way too. And for me, the main skill that I took was like the fear away from business development. Um, as an engineer, my entire career was in operations. So that side was super easy for me, entrepreneurship. And then when you sit and you're like, oh, I have to bring in my own clients, do all that business development. And so being able to see a framework that I can follow, that it was simple and it was doable, that I found that I can take with me through the entire journey of being an entrepreneur.
And with those skills and lessons you learned, how has it shifted your perspective or your confidence as an entrepreneur since completing the program?
I would say my confidence now is more grounded. When I started, I was in learning mode. I was a little sponge. I would go to all the networking events, meet people, learn from them, learn as many courses as I had to do because there was so much I needed to do. And through taking the Leveling Up program, I find that it has grounded me to the point that it has narrowed in the focus that I need to take. So coming into year two, I'm very clear on the path that I need to take in order to meet my revenue goals. And I have the skills and the tools to get them done. So it's no longer that I need to learn as much as I can to get things done. Now it's like, no, I have all the skills that I need. Now let's just execute.
Okay. And then one of my favorite questions I like to ask all entrepreneurs we interview is what has been one of your biggest successes, or what is one of your proudest moments since starting your business?
One of my proudest moments, I would say, would be to be visible. That is one thing that I work really hard at in my first year because, as a coach, as leadership development, it's not something that somebody goes to your website, clicks purchase, and goes through it. They need to know you, they need to trust you, they need to work with you in some capacity in order to book time with you. So I would say that having all these skills allow me to also raise my visibility profile where I'm able to show up, where my ideal clients are, explain what I am about, what I can do for them, and how I can help them. And that I found that for me personally and professionally, that was a huge leap coming from being in a corporate environment where I just stay in my lane to completely putting myself out there, speaking what I'm passionate about, and seeing how it's resonated at the other end. That I find very rewarding.
There's a lot of a risk that comes along with being an entrepreneur. And yeah, like you said, it's a big change from working in a bigger company in corporate and a larger structure like that.
Absolutely.
So how do you plan on applying what you learned throughout leveling it up to your next steps or your future goals?
One thing that I realized was that as I was honing in my sales process and how do I bring people in from these events into conversion, is that I am able now to build workshops that I can bring in I have the confidence on the presentation skills, how to engage people, how to keep them engaged during that workshop as well. And then being able to have a website that supports that growth, where people can come in and register for things and also have the right narrative and information based on what they need. So that has been one of the biggest things that I have transitioned into, is like, how do I collect all these people that I'm meeting, that I'm connecting with, and turning them into clients. And that's where the workshops are going to come in this year.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So, and you've kind of answered this already, but where do you see your entrepreneurial journey, whether it's with this specific business venture, or because I know many entrepreneurs do many different things, they get that mindset, heading in the next few months or within like about a year?
For me, being an entrepreneur was not just doing the work to help clients, but it was also a redefinition of success for me, in the sense that it allowed me the flexibility to give back to the community. So I'm able to focus on my business, and now we're in execution mode. So that's the focus: execute, get to those workshops, deliver them, and then increase the client base. And then on the other side, that also allows me to give back to the community. So being part of organizations where I have flexibility in my schedule to give back, to participate, and to grow and help the community, that has been probably one of the biggest wins for me, that I'm able to have the time, the capacity to give back, because I have time as an entrepreneur to focus on one thing. And I can also say, and I can also give back. Before, I found that I was so exhausted in my corporate job, and even if I had time, I didn't have the headspace to do it. And I do what I love right now, and that just energizes me, so I'm not exhausted at the end of the day. And that truly helps me to give back to the community.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of people find them they're, the hours of the day may be the same, or even they're working more hours in a day in their entrepreneurship journey, but because they love it so much and they feel so passionate about it, they say, like you did, like, I don't feel as tired, I don't feel as worn out as when I was working somewhere else. So that's amazing.
Like, you feel like the gears inside you are going in very smoothly. You're no longer stuck, and that feeling is what fuels you and gives you that momentum
Mhm.
to keep going.
Thank you very much, Karen. If you don't mind, I've got a couple extra questions I'd like to ask you if you've got time.
Sure.
So this is throughout your whole journey so far with your business venture. Can you tell me a bit about a person or a connection who changed how you were building your business or changed your view on your business?
That's hard to answer or pinpoint to one person. I I double my network. I met more people last year than I did in my entire career. And throughout that journey, I met so many key individuals that shape the way that I'm running my business. I have colleagues from previous work who are entrepreneurs, and they sort of gave me this big hug and introduction into entrepreneurship. So having them as a sounding board has been helpful. The person that I met through CanWCC, who introduced me to Leveling Up, she didn't just introduce me to Leveling Up, she introduced me to the entire Nova Scotia community. And I have made so many good friends and good connections and referrals into my business just through that one coffee conversation that I had. And those women are wonderful, and a lot of them are instructors in the program as well. So knowing them outside the program was helpful too. And then when it came to who was there to sort of be a sounding board, I have a coach myself. We do reciprocal coaching. So having that person there as that sounding board, because I find that as entrepreneurs, we're making all decisions, wearing every single hat, and you do need that sounding board to help you verbalize what you need or just brainstorm or figure out what's going on. So coach themselves was very helpful for me too.
And throughout all of these connections, what do you think you gained the most in like a specific skill? Do you think you gained more confidence, clarity? Was it the opportunities these people brought? Or what would you say?
For me, it was all about that connection and relationship building. Yes, it does bring confidence because before I had to practice what to say when I went to a networking event, had the questions in my head. And then I switched into just being curious about who was in front of me, what they were about, what they were doing, what they were passionate about. And when I switched into that mode, the networking became very easy because I was being myself, being curious and very curious naturally. So just bringing that curiosity, I found that helped tremendously. And those connections also, I found that amplified. It's like a little web, right? Like you're connected here, but they're connected to so many others that it just keeps on expanding and expanding. And the women that I've met who are entrepreneurs are very inspiring. Most of the ones who I've met have a purpose or a reason why they started what they were doing. And it's inspiring to me to see others live their dreams. It's not all like roses and sunshine and rainbows. Everybody's working very hard. Like you said, sometimes we're working more hours, but you're so passionate about it that you finish your day, you finish your week feeling, I made a difference. And that in itself is very rewarding.
Oh, okay. I like especially what you said about being curious. I think that's a very valuable skill when starting something new.
I was just gonna say, is we're at the end of our prepared questions. Is there anything else you want to mention about your business, your journey that we haven't talked about, highlighted?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here today. We're very lucky to have gotten the chance to speak to you, and I think we both learned something today. So thank you very much for your time.
No, thank you. And thank you for having such a wonderful program that women can use to build their businesses.